I'm not going to change my personality. Ain't nobody, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired. So they can't fire me.
Charles Barkley's tearing up the script at ESPN, and Shannon Sharpe is heated. Chuck just locked in a wild $210 million deal, and now he's out here calling his own shots like he's untouchable. Skipping extra shows, refusing assignments, straight up daring ESPN to let him go. And guess what? They're not doing a thing. Meanwhile, Shannon's on the bench, cut loose by the same network after getting wrapped up in some scandal drama. Now he's stuck dealing with legal messes, tight morality clauses, and a boss breathing down his neck.
I can tell you, I also spoke as co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously.
But Charles, he's out here moving like the boss himself. Shannon's not staying quiet either. Word is he's been throwing shots at ESPN, demanding to know why Chuck gets a pass while he got booted. It's that classic double standard, loud and clear. And Charles, he's not holding back either. He's basically throwing shade right back at Shannon, reminding him who's running the show now. So what's the real story here? Why does Charles get to break all the rules? It starts with that recent sit-down he had with Dan Dakich on Outkick. Chuck got real blunt, told ESPN he's not talking about the Lakers no more. Doesn't matter if they cut the checks, he's saying what he wants, and they can either ride with it or step aside.
Two different radio national shows. And I said, I don't want to talk about LeBron James every freaking day or Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers or all the bullshit you got to talk about. I don't want to do that every day. Now you're going to ESPN, and you've been critical of ESPN, particularly their coverage of the Lakers. What are your thoughts as this is your last season heading over?
Yeah, Dan, I'm not going to change. I'm going to do what I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me what to say or what to do. I thought I get upset. They're like the Lakers are contenders. I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not contenders. Kendrick Perkins, who don't know his ass from a hole in the wall. He's like, the Lakers are contenders. The Lakers are contenders. And I said, they're not contenders.
Most folks in Chuck's position would toe the company line just to keep that check coming. But not Charles. He's got zero fear of getting fired. Why? Because ESPN literally can't afford to let him go. And Chuck knows it. He said, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired, so they can't fire me. First of all, if they fire me, they got to pay me for 7 years, and I'm going to quit way before then. But if they want to fire me, I'd love for them to do that. Man's not bluffing. He even said the only thing left to decide is how long he wants to keep working. That's how deep in the game he is, and Shannon's watching it all go down from the sidelines. I ain't worried about getting fired, and nobody at ESPN is gonna tell me what to say or do. Period. That's exactly how Charles Barkley's moving these days, and you better believe he means every word. After locking in that insane 10-year, $210 million deal back in 2022, Chuck's got full control of the court. See, here's the catch. Once that type of contract is signed, the money's guaranteed. So if ESPN even thinks about firing him just because he's bending a few rules, boom, they still owe him the full $210 million. That's not a risk they're ready to take, not even close. And let's be real, Chuck ain't out here trying to grind till he's pushing 70. He's not built like that. Unlike folks like Stephen A. Smith or even Shannon Sharpe, who are still out here hustling hard for their next contract, Chuck's already looking at the exit door. Those guys? They need to keep things tight with the network just to stay in the game. Barkley? He's playing by his rules. Earlier this year on NBA TV, Chuck caught everyone off guard when he dropped this bombshell. I ain't going nowhere other than TNT, but I have made the decision myself that no matter what happens, next year is going to be my last year on television. And no, he's not bluffing just to get more offers. He straight up said he's talked to other networks and has zero plans to sign with any of them. That means he's got nothing to lose. No pressure, no leash, no filter. And when he sat down again on Outkick recently, his vibe hadn't changed one bit. He confirmed he's had conversations with the network about how long he's sticking around, but don't get it twisted. he's not finishing out that full contract. Chuck still technically has 7 years left, but he's already hinted there's no chance he's riding that deal to the end. And if ESPN wants to pull the plug early, they'll be cutting that full check anyway. Just one more headache added to the network's growing list of problems. Charles Barkley's already throwing elbows before even stepping foot on ESPN turf. He flat out said he's not doing no appearances on Get Up, First Take, SportsCenter. None of it. Once he lands at ESPN, he's sticking strictly to what he wants to do, and that's final. Now here's the twist. ESPN is licensing inside the NBA starting next season since TNT Sports lost their NBA rights. So Chuck's making the move, and obviously the network's gonna want max value out of that $210 million investment.
Charles Barkley has reportedly agreed to a 10-year deal with TNT that's estimated to be worth over $100 million. Let's be honest, Barkley is arguably one of the most popular sports studio analysts out there, and he's in a landscape where salaries for sportscasters have just changed dramatically over the years. And if TNT were to let him go, it'd just be terrible. Just terrible.
You know they're gonna try to plug him into every show possible. But Chuck, he already made it crystal clear. He's not clocking extra hours for nobody. And guess what else? He's not exactly thrilled about the idea of sharing airtime with Stephen A. Smith or Kendrick Perkins either, especially not Perkins. Barkley even clowned him saying, Perkins can't tell the difference between a hole in the wall and his own booty hole. Yikes! With burns like that, don't expect these two to ever be on the same screen. Chuck's coming into ESPN like a tornado, ignoring the playbook, doing his own thing, and still collecting the bag. And if anybody's bitter watching all this go down, it's definitely Shannon Sharpe. Remember, this is the same network that dropped him over a lawsuit, so you know he's feeling some type of way, seeing Chuck move like a king. Word on the street is, Shannon even had a few things to say behind the scenes. But before he starts throwing fits, he needs to check the scoreboard. He and Chuck ain't even in the same league when it comes to influence. According to the New York Times, ESPN might be cutting Shannon a cool $6.5 million a year just to spar with Stephen A. twice a week on First Take. But when it comes to importance, ESPN's not willing to risk their whole image over him. Let's keep it real. Chuck's pulling superstar numbers. Shannon's big, no doubt, but not untouchable. Especially not when you're tangled in a public civil suit involving a woman barely old enough to drink legally. That's not the kind of attention Disney wants tied to their brand. And with Disney calling the shots behind ESPN, it's all business, plain and simple. Disney don't play when it comes to protecting their image. And that's where those tight morality clauses come in.
But for me personally, I wanted you guys to hear from me because I'm not doing any more interviews. Don't y'all be calling me. Nobody calling me. I'm not talking about this again, but I want to tell my NBA and NBA TV and TNT family that I'm not going to another network, but I'm going to pass the baton to either Jamal Crawford or Vince Carter or you, Steve. But next year, I'm going to just retire after 25 years, and I just want to say thank you.
These contracts are built with vague wording on purpose. Terms like public disrepute, humiliation, or scandal, so they can cut ties with anybody who might stain the brand. And that's exactly how folks like Shannon Sharpe end up getting the boot. Now let's be honest, Disney didn't drop Shannon on a whim. He really did fumble. The man's 56 years old and got caught up with a 19-year-old? Come on now. That alone had executives shaking their heads. And this isn't even his first time making headlines for the wrong reasons. After last year's viral Instagram moment, when the whole internet basically got a front row seat to his bedroom, you'd think he'd be moving smarter by now. Where was his team when he needed to lock things down? No NDA, no control, just bad decisions stacking up. That's not how you survive in this industry, especially when your checks are signed by Disney. They're all about keeping a clean image, and the second you bring drama to their doorstep, they're showing you the exit. And word is, they didn't just fire him. Some insiders say Shannon's banned from the network altogether. One source even claimed his ESPN career is already over. But hold up. Another insider familiar with ESPN's production said otherwise. According to them, Shannon is still locked in for First Take every Monday and Tuesday. Any other days off? Just scheduled time off, nothing more. So the final verdict's still murky. But what's clear is the scandal hit hard, and it hit fast. Even Stephen A. Smith stepped up and confirmed that Disney's CEO personally had a conversation with him about how serious this situation is. When top execs are getting directly involved, that tells you everything. And let's not pretend Shannon was winning popularity contests behind the scenes either. Rumors say he wasn't exactly easy to work with.
I can tell you, I also spoke to co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously. And we are looking into this very, very closely.
One source even dropped a bomb, claiming he once got accused of choking a female production assistant back when he was at Fox Sports. That's not just drama, that's a whole storm. And it came before the $50 million civil case even kicked off. So yeah, Shannon might be mad at the network, but looking at the full picture, this wasn't just about one mistake. It was a pattern, and Disney was done cleaning up after him. So here's where things really get wild. The incident with Shannon Sharpe reportedly happened while he was co-hosting Undisputed between 2016 and 2023. And guess what? He didn't even get fired for it. Instead, Sharpe and Fox settled things quietly with the accuser for a few $100,000. No public fallout, no pink slip. A rep for Shannon tried to clean it up, saying there was no incident of choking on the FS1 set. According to them, it was just some light physical interaction in a playful context between Shannon and a few co-workers. They claim Fox Sports decided to handle it privately and didn't want the drama out in the open. And if you want more info, they said, call Fox directly. But fans? They weren't buying it at all. Everyone knows how these PR statements go. It's all about damage control, not truth. And honestly, the real shock was that Fox didn't cut ties with him immediately. That's how the entertainment world works, though. Big names sometimes get a pass, depending on who's writing the checks.
You know, there's been a lot of noise around our network the last few months. And I just want to say, I've talked to all the other networks, but I ain't going nowhere.
The only decision we've been making is how long I'm on work. And I've been going back and forth with TNT for the last 2 months, whether I'm gonna work 2 years or 3 years. But if I really wanted to, I could stay for 7 years, which there's no chance of that happening. Zero.
Now let's fast forward to the Disney ESPN drama. Technically, they could have kept Shannon around even with the lawsuits and bad press, but they already knew the backlash would have been nasty. Public opinion's louder than ever, and Disney wasn't about to risk their polished brand image for someone knee-deep in controversy. Even former SportsCenter anchor Sage Steele threw in her 2 cents. She didn't hold back either. On X, formerly Twitter, she blasted ESPN for what she called a broken system. She claimed that Disney was quicker to punish conservative voices than deal with folks accused of real wrongdoing. In her words, there's a long list of examples showing ESPN treats conservative viewpoints like a worse offense than questionable character. That all came in response to a post calling out the double standards, pointing out that ESPN let go of women with conservative opinions while someone like Shannon, who's been caught up in multiple scandals involving women, got to keep his spot, at least for a while. That's the kind of tension bubbling under the surface, and folks are finally calling it out loud. Just putting it out there, another former ESPN employee, Ashley Brewer Kaminsky, didn't stay quiet either. She jumped in with her own story, saying, "Never forget when I got chewed out by my boss for posting a pic of a Republican congressman and a UFC fighter on my Instagram story at the McGregor fight. LOL. FYI, the network has a strict policy about discussing politics on air." Yeah, meanwhile, Shannon Sharpe was out here in a whole legal storm and still got airtime, at least for a while. Remember, Sage Steele got suspended just for speaking out against the company's COVID vaccine mandate. When you stack that up next to what Shannon was involved in, it's clear who got a softer landing. If Disney had tried to keep Shannon around after all that, it would have opened the floodgates. Ex-employees could have lined up with lawsuits, dragging the company through court over wrongful termination claims. So cutting ties was the smartest move they could make. Clean break, no more headaches. Now let's talk Barkley. Yeah, he might be ruffling feathers at the top with all this talk about early retirement and not playing by the rules. But let's be real, he's not out here causing legal messes or sparking scandals. Compared to Shannon, Chuck is basically squeaky clean. That's exactly why he's still winning. Charles is valuable. He pulls numbers, he's got fans, and the network can't afford to lose him. Shannon? Not the same story. He's replaceable, and ESPN knows it. Even Stephen A. Smith, who publicly backed Shannon, had to admit the writing was on the wall. He said when the decision was made for Shannon to step away from the network, it hit hard. But it wasn't a surprise. Stephen said, "It was a blow to the show, a blow to me personally because I'm going to miss him. But it was not a surprise. He was working at Disney. I've been at Disney since October of 2003. I know this place. I know the worldwide leader that is ESPN. So now we've got Charles bending all the rules and walking away clean, while Shannon's out here catching L's and getting mad about it. But before he pops off and does something that takes his image from bad to worse, maybe it's time he sat down and faced the facts. Because truth is, he only got what he had coming. But hey, what do you think? Should Shannon be mad? Or is this just a harsh lesson in playing the media game? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to share this video with your people. See you in the next one.